crypto. Are you an avid crypto investor?
Yeah, for sure. So I
Okay.
I love crypto. We actually have our own. I have my own cryptocurrencies that we've created and launched. Uh,
Really? Now I
mhm.
didn't see that on the site. That must be, is this new?
No, we launched it over a year ago.
Oh wow. Welcome, Jon Vaughn. I really appreciate you being on. Finally, I was able to get you on. And
My
thank you
pleasure.
again for allowing me to at least question someone who I think, or at least have looked up to in some sense, because we've only really interacted on Facebook, but I view a lot of your content that comes through my feed quite often. And I really like what you're doing, especially from an organic marketing perspective. I love that. You have to tell me before we get into actually what you do, Jon, just really quick, just for my own personal knowledge and teaching, because I definitely have become a member of your site and your business. But I want to just tell me a little bit more about this organic marketing that you do. And I know you do a lot of it, so tell me a little bit more about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So the short story, if you want the short version, basically I just add random strangers on Facebook and then make a lot of noise on Facebook and get them to buy my products and services. So
Really?
that's the super short version of it.
Okay. All right. What's the long version then? Maybe let me not let me give me the semi-short version.
Well, the longer version of it is a few years ago, we decided to switch our business model because I had this epiphany and I realized that, can I cuss on the show?
I would I would say I would say do your thing. Be you, Jon. You know, be you. But that's
All
what, I
right.
know you do that in a lot of your videos, so I'm okay with it. I'm okay
So
with that.
so I had this epiphany, we were selling software engineering services to other
Mhm.
software companies. Basically, we worked as kind of like a remote staffing company where they would hire our developers. Uh, and I realized, because a lot of the work that we were doing was we were building SaaS applications for other companies. I realized that I was in a really shit business model,
Mhm.
and what was going to end up happening was I was going to work until I died. So I had this epiphany and I realized that, I took based on all the stuff we were doing, I took a hard look at our business as a service provider. And I realized something that, for some reason, it never struck me before. I realized that I have a limited amount of time until I die, right? Like, we
Okay.
all know one day we're gonna fucking die. And I realized
That's very true.
I
Yes.
have a limited amount of time until I die. So I have this resource, which is my time.
Mhm.
And every minute that goes by, this resource becomes more and more valuable because I have less and less of it. So it's a deflationary asset, my time, right? As time
Absolutely.
goes by, I have less and less time. So this time that I have is just constantly getting more valuable.
Mhm.
And what I'm actually doing for business is I'm taking that time, my deflationary asset, and I'm selling it for money. Now, meanwhile, this money is a piece of paper. And meanwhile, every government in the fucking world is just constantly printing off money, causing the value of the money to go down.
That's true.
So I realized what I'm doing is I'm taking the most valuable deflationary asset that I possess, my time, and I'm selling it for an inflationary piece of paper. So the thing that I
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
is constantly gaining value, I'm trading it for something that's always losing value. And I realized if I keep doing this, I'm going to be working until I fucking die.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. And that's very important that you brought that up, because I'm gonna come back to that as well, because I want to just kind of piggyback off with a question. You said that a lot of people just don't know how money works, Jon. And you definitely have created a system that actually gives them especially since you're a software engineer, we'll get into that as well too, how you got into that field. But there's a way that you have been able to help businesses as well as help people become aware of how to actually earn additional income through your software. Tell me your philosophy on what do you think people should be more aware of in terms of money and how they can earn additional money or even more money, even if they are working a typical 9 to 5?
Well, I think that the main thing that people should be, I think the main thing that people should be educated about money is how you spend it and when you spend it. I think, and it's really hard in the society that we live at today, because no matter where we're fucking at, whether we're walking outside or we're on social media, or for some reason we're wasting our time watching TV, we're just constantly bombarded with these happy people, and it seems like they're happy because they bought this stupid trinket, or they bought that stupid trinket,
Very true.
or
Very
they just
true.
bought some. And see, they don't teach this shit to you, because in the educational system, and literally in the educational system, they want you to be a slave to the system. This is why you have, and this is going on a crazy tangent, but this is why you have a birth certificate, because a country considers you their resource. They consider you their property and their resource, and they want you to generate money for them. So they don't teach you what to do with your money, and they want you to think that, okay, hey, the key to a happy life is buying liabilities, is just going out and spending your money.
That's very true.
I think the main thing that people need to understand is, at what point do you buy a liability? At what point do you go spend the extra money on the new car, or upgrade your house, or spend extra money on your clothes, or your stupid fucking watch, or whatever dumb shit that you want to buy that is not. And by dumb shit, I mean, if you look at a transaction and you don't see how that transaction is literally going to put cash into your pocket, if it is not going to give you cash flow and generate revenue for you, it's a stupid fucking purchase. And you're allowed to make those stupid fucking purchases, but you're only allowed to make those stupid fucking purchases when you have assets that are generating you cash flow, and that cash flow is greater than your minimum operating expense that you need to live. Whenever you satisfy that equation, you reach financial freedom. At that point, you're allowed to go buy stupid shit.
Right. Well, and also it's a mindset. And I wanted, because of course artificial intelligence has started to hit the wave. It's been around, but it's now starting to really become very prevalent, especially with the rise of social media. Instagram, TikTok is really pushing out. And I know you do quite a bit of training on Chat GPT. Just talk a little bit about your training as it relates to chat. And you do it for free, Jon. I noticed that you do it for free. You send out, if you join Jon's email list, he will send you free information about Chat GPT. But talk a little bit about that, as well as having that mindset in terms of being able to earn that money that folks want to be able to earn, and then being able to, and then kind of draw that into what you're actually offering your clients and your constituents as well.
Sure. So ChatGPT is a large language model. I don't think a lot of people realize how it actually works or anything. They think it's a black box. But I think one of the beauties of AI and ChatGPT especially is it causes people, and people are going to do this regardless, and this is the reason that so many people are actually broke. It causes people to go find new fucking excuses. All right. Because before, people would give an excuse like, well, I don't know how to do that. Okay. So the standard answer was always, well, go Google it. Okay, well, now you get a new fucking excuse, right? Oh, well, that's too much information. I don't have time to learn all this stuff. All right, I don't have time to click through all these links and look at all the Google results and actually get the information that will really change my life. Hopefully it will just change. I'll pray to God. Maybe God will change it for me. All right. So now with ChatGPT can essentially save you all that time from having to go read through all these Google links and actually find the information that you want. Although sometimes it's not actually correct. So now it's like you're in an age where it's like, fucking don't know how to do something, go ask ChatGPT how to do it, and condense the time it would have taken you on Google, from an hour to learn stuff to 20 minutes now.
Wow, Jon, that's amazing. That's interesting. I know that, like, I use it as well on a couple of my websites, as far as if it relates to business as well too, more specifically to help college students. So sort of moving into that, into what you kind of offer. I know you also talk about viral marketing secrets. If you join Jon's membership, it's only $10 a month. That's the cost of a piece of pizza. And most of us eat at least, a whole piece, at least a large piece, at least once a week. I know I do, Jon. I have the cost of a piece of pizza, only $10 a month. You can join Jon's membership, and he has a list of free courses as well as some paid courses that'll really that'll really help you sort of build your business. I'm gonna get into your actual software, the Friendier. Am I saying it right?
Friendier,
Friendier.
yeah.
But I want to
Friendier.
first talk about some of your free courses that I know you offer on the membership plan, which is one of your viral marketing secrets. Then you have the success formula. All that I think is mindset, though, to some point. Jon, tell me a little bit about the viral marketing secrets and your success formula. For that's on your training website right now.
Yeah. All right. So there's a concept in marketing that people don't really actually understand. And this concept is called sell the thing that sells the thing. Okay. So if you're trying to sell something, there's this big concept in marketing, which is called sell the thing that sells the thing. All right. So instead of trying to go out and sell the thing that you're trying to sell, you could instead sell the thing that in return will essentially sell that thing. So to give you an example, all right? To give you an example, let's say what you want to sell is bait for fishing, people who like to fish.
Okay.
Let's say you want to go in and actually sell bait. Well, instead of selling the bait, you could sell a fishing pole, because guess what? That fishing pole automatically sells the bait. As soon as somebody buys the fishing pole, they're now sold on the actual bait. They need the bait for fishing. All right. So one of the main things that we offer is a partner program, which allows entrepreneurs and businesses to do like the main thing that most businesses don't actually do, which is why almost all of them fail. Which is build continuity and build recurring revenue. So most businesses have a very hard time of building continuity and building recurring revenue. Now, the ones that do, they do fucking great. Like if you look at, let's say Dollar Shave Club, this is a continuity offer. You sign up and they don't have to continuously try to resell you, because you've already agreed that, okay, hey, every month, just send me some razor blades. Right. So our main program is our partner program, which allows people to leverage our software and our multi-million-dollar company to add a recurring revenue stream to their business. Now, my membership course it's actually leveraging this concept of sell the thing that sells the thing. Okay. The main thing that I sell is this partner program. But there's this concept that a lot of people are aware of, which is called PLR, which stands for private label rights. Okay. So private label rights, private label rights it's a concept basically where you can sell a product or service without having to build the product or service. Someone else creates the product or service.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So this is very common in business. If you go to Walmart, if you look at every one of those great value brands, it's all PLR. All right. So every great value product in Walmart is a private label product. It's literally Walmart going to the Cheerios manufacturer and saying, hey, you guys are already manufacturing Cheerios. Will you just private label Cheerios for me and put my logo on the box? So Walmart doesn't have to go out and manufacture Cheerios or set up manufacturing facilities. They just private label somebody else's stuff. All right. So the private label concept is very similar to our partner program. So in my membership site, the vast majority of that content is private label content. I don't actually create it. Someone else creates it, and I just pay them a little bit of money, and then they let me actually sell it to my customers. All right. So I buy that content and I put it inside my membership because it creates a lot of value for my members, because it's actually useful training. Everybody compliments how much they learn from it. But now I even explain this inside that membership site. I like literally, if you go through the first modules, there's disclaimers that teach about private label and master private label rights, what the difference of them are, and how most of that content inside there is all private label. So now what's happening is that those people are consuming that private label content, and they're like, wow, this is good. I can't believe that somebody could just, I could offer this to my customers. I just need to pay a little bit of money. Now that is that's me selling the thing that sells the thing, because now those people are in the mindset where on that course, you could probably only, make a 17 or maybe $100 or $200 one-time payment, but with software, they'll pay you every single month. So it actually sells my main offer.
That is amazing, John. This is amazing. So now, speaking of your software, because I want to come back to mindset, because even as an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs, they have a good mindset. They have an ability, or they have the desire to want to move forward. They just don't necessarily have that complete focus or vision in terms of just being able to just stay focused on that. When did you get started, and what made you continuously want to stay focused on becoming an entrepreneur, and then actually launching this particular business that you have now, and then getting it? How did you go from there to getting it to where you have gotten it now? Because you're very successful with this business, I see. So I just curious to know your story and how it all started.
I didn't really have much of a choice.
Okay.
I didn't have that many choices. So
now, what do you mean by that, John? You got to elaborate a little bit.
So to kind of give you a short recap, my dad, when we were little, my dad was a Baptist preacher, and we
really?
he was a missionary, and we moved to South America. But he was, I'm not sure if you're religious and if your viewers are religious. I'm not particularly religious myself, although I don't hate religious people or anything. But my dad was one of those stereotypical Baptist preachers, like the fucking crazy ones, all right? Like the psychotic crazy ones. So I'm talking about, my dad would literally have a stand outside, and no shit, put like a can of soup or something on her head and make a stand in front of like a wood, and he would shoot a bow and arrow and shit at her head.
I see. I do remember you mentioning that in one of your posts or two, but we'll come back to that. Yes, absolutely. But go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead. Yes.
So he was just super abusive, like just a fucking complete psychopath. When he pulled us out of school, so we did homeschooling, all right? Okay. So didn't get a whole lot of like actual real schooling, because the homeschool system was actually read the Bible and like, when did the dinosaurs live? They didn't, because they're not in the They didn't, because they're not in the Bible.
They're not in the Bible, sure.
So it's like, that was a homeschooling. So my education was kind of screwed up. My mentality was kind of screwed up, because I was literally somebody's punching bag all the time.
Oh wow!
And it caused me to do a lot of drugs and do a lot of drinking. And then finally, I went to I actually got my GED. I went to college, and I was in a relationship with a girl that I thought I loved, and I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and I actually had kids with. And I ended up finding out that she actually got pregnant, and one of my kids wasn't actually my kid. It was like literally my best friend's kid, because while I was going to work every day, and while I was going to college every day, and then going back to work every day, she was at home having sex with my best friend, who I actually let live at our house, because he came from the same background as me. He was young, and he came from the same background as me. His family was really abusive. So to help him get out of that situation, I let him stay at my house. So anyways, that shit kind of blew up, and had already been to jail so many times, and I was in college. I just went through all that family shit. Obviously, that was kind of like a no deal anymore for me and my kid's mom, where it's like, okay, hey, we separated and stuff.
Absolutely. And, I would say so. Yeah.
I remember I went to college one day, and my favorite class, which was computer science, they had canceled that class, and the only thing that was left, like the only class I had that day, was an accounting class and art class. I didn't like any of them. So I was really frustrated. My kid's mom was texting me. Her new boyfriend, my best friend, was texting me how he was going to beat my ass. Just a lot of drama going on. So I was like so frustrated. And I went to the bar. I started drinking. I started going on my way home. And I was going on my way home, I was going through the speed trap, and I had already been now granted, I've been to jail so many times because of stupid decisions that I made. The cops knew who I was going through the speed trap, and there was somebody behind me, and they were just riding my ass. I'm doing the speed limit because I've already got so many tickets for speeding through that spot. So I'm doing the
I
speed
hate
limit.
those things too, John.
Someone's just riding my ass like this. They're flashing their brights at me, just flashing their brights at me. And I'm listening to Tupac. All right. I'm half drunk. I'm listening to Tupac. And I was like, okay. I was like, it was like God spoke to me or something. I was like, okay. So I pulled out a 9mm because I always rode around with a pistol. And I put it outside my window and I just started shooting in the air. And the person that was behind me ended up actually being an ambulance. So
really?
Yes. Long story short, I got off our exit and there was a whole bunch of cops waiting for me. And anyways, they took me back to jail for obvious charges.
Sure.
And I sat in jail for a while, for like 6 months. I lost my license. So whenever I got out, I couldn't go back to college because I didn't have money, and I didn't qualify for student aid anymore because I had a pending felony.
Sure.
I couldn't drive. Even if I could go to college, I couldn't drive. I couldn't work. I couldn't really get a job in the software field at like an actual software company. One, because I hadn't graduated yet, and I had this pending felony. And even if they looked past those two things, I had no way to actually get to work, because you probably know in the US, there's not really, most places, there's not public transportation.
And
it
that's
just
true.
doesn't exist, you know,
unless you're in a big city, but yes.
So I didn't really have much of a choice other than, hey, I can't go work for a company. I'm going to have to actually work for myself. So at that point, I started figuring out, hey, how can I work online? How can I do remote software engineering jobs? How can I take my skill as programming and being a software engineer, and how can I actually work remote for myself?
And all of this you learned in college, right, John? Some, but you taught yourself mostly, right?
Well, the software engineering part, you know, I used to, because again of my education, my background, I used to work in a factory pushing buttons, and from doing all this button pushing, I was a minimum wage worker pushing buttons, doing heavy manual labor every day. And I used to go outside to smoke cigarettes. And whenever I would go outside to smoke cigarettes, I would walk by the tool shop. And when I walked by the tool shop, I'd always see those guys. They were the happiest people really in the factory. They were always happy. They were always clean. I was always dirty. Half the time when I went outside to smoke and I walked by them, they was just sitting outside smoking cigarettes. And as going through there, I seen them using these machines. And anyways, I got to talking to them, and I found out that they don't really do that much work, that most everything they do is done on a CNC machine. So anyways, long story short, I ended up getting promoted and moved into the tool room. And whenever I got moved into the tool room, making parts, I got to see these CNC machines, and I started watching the G code on the screen. And I started reading the books, the manuals on the books, and actually learning G code and learning how G code works.
Okay.
And I started experimenting with them on my off hours. And whenever I broke one of them, the management asked me what happened, why I was doing it. And anyways, they were kind of upset, but kind of impressed that I had learned so much G code on my own. So they decided to send me to vocational school to learn how to program CNC machines.
Yeah.
And once I started doing that, once I found out that, you know, I could go from working a 10 to 12 hour shift and being shit tired at the end of the day and dirty and literally like burnt from head to toe, because I'm working on heavy machinery like lathes, and it's like shooting hot little metal chips out at me, making minimum wage, that I could go from minimum wage to making $50 an hour. And instead of working a 12-hour day, work an 8-hour day, but not actually work 8 hours, really only do 1 hour worth of work, because the other 7 hours I'm just sitting there and the computer is doing everything automatically.
Sure,
I just fell in love with programming. I was like, shit, why would I ever want to do anything again whenever a program can just do it for me? So at that point, I decided, yeah, go to college and learn computer engineering. But if you've been to college, I think you realize that just like school, college doesn't teach you that much. I mean,
yes,
college doesn't really teach you
specialized.
anything.
Yeah.
College just tests you on whether you were able to teach yourself the shit you're supposed to know. Because
That's
at the end
very
of the
true to
day,
some degree. Yeah.
and when this is something I think so many people, they don't realize this. Like at the end of the day, it's like people talk about, well, the school don't teach me this, where the college didn't teach me this. No shit, Sherlock, it's not their job. They don't give a fuck. They don't have to live your life. You have to do that. It's your responsibility. It's your job to teach yourself.
That's very true. You do have to be a self-learner in school. I did go to school myself, so I do understand that. I was very fortunate to go to 2 schools that one did teach me about how to really build the networks in my own community, and the other one actually taught me much more about globalization. But I wanted to kind of jump back into your software, because I know Friendier is not the only software that you've built, but I want to talk about the ones that you've built before Friendier, and then we'll jump to that one because I know that's your main one, and then we'll jump into exactly what that does and how it helps business as well. So tell me a little bit about the software you built before Friendier, and then we'll jump into Friendier.
Yeah, so the software before Friendier, we built so much different software. We have about 30 different software products. We have about 30 different software products in the market. And almost all of them, not all of them, but almost all of them are just like a direct result of trying to solve a problem that I had in my own process and growing my business. So
okay, makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So now let's talk about the main one, Friendier. I know that's your main one you sell. I think you're offering the software sells for like $197 a month, I believe, right now, John.
Yeah.
And tell me about that and how that helps businesses, because I know that also connect with your social media sites as well too. So tell me how that works, because I've seen you skyrocket with your own software and build a following of what you have, like almost 100,000 followers now, John. So tell me how that works and how folks that really would be interested in building their using that software to really build out their social media, how it helps them in terms of scaling their business as well as automate their business.
So Friendier is basically your organic marketing best friend. So most of what we do, most of the way that I build, I make sales and build awareness and get people to buy our products and services is through organic marketing. And there's a reason that I do a lot of organic marketing versus paid ads, because one, I'm not a marketer. The paid ads is difficult. The paid ads takes an entire different process, an entire different sales process than organic marketing does. So to give you an example, I have stuff that I sell for $157 a month organically that I don't have a problem selling it for $157 a month organically. The exact same thing I can put in a paid ad, and I struggle to sell it for $31 a month.
Wow, that's
on a paid ad.
That's very unique, John. That's very unique. Why do you think that is?
Because the process is so different. I mean, most of the time through the paid media, those people don't actually know who you are. They don't have a rapport with you. You're just some random person that showed up on an ad. And most people don't like ads. I mean, there's very few people. The people that like ads are fucking marketers. They just geek out on ads to see, okay, hey, how did they do it? Can I make a better ad? But outside of those idiots, most people don't like ads when they don't want to see ads. So it's like whenever they first see you through an ad, they're instantly putting you in this bucket called like a scum bucket. Like, okay, hey, let me put that guy in a scum bucket. Why? Because he showed me an ad. I don't want to see a stupid ad. He's trying to sell to me. He wants money from me. All right. Well, in organic, it's just completely different. You build an audience, you build a connection with people. So your sales process is very very different, and people are more apt to buy in organic. So Friendier is essentially your organic marketing best friend, and it helps you with organic marketing on Facebook. It helps you with your organic marketing on Facebook, helps you get engagement, it helps you get new friends, it helps you convert them into buyers, and more importantly, it hands you back that most valuable asset that you have. It frees up your time and gives you back your time.
That's amazing. And it's now, what about other social media networks besides Facebook? It only touches on Facebook, right?
Yeah, it only works for Facebook. It's only for Facebook, mostly just because, again, when I build software, it's typically to solve problems that I have, and I do organic marketing on Facebook, and that's it. And see, I think this is another problem that a lot of people have is like, okay, you mentioned they're not able to focus on this and that. Well, one of the reasons is, okay, entrepreneurs, they think, okay, I should be on LinkedIn, I should be on Facebook, I should be on YouTube, I should be on Twitter, I should be on Instagram, I should be on TikTok, I should be on Pinterest. And they're just like fucking running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to do all this shit, but they're not actually doing anything. So I don't do that. Like if you go to my Twitter or my Instagram or my LinkedIn, you won't find me actually doing anything there because I don't do anything there. I focus and I concentrate my efforts on Facebook because I already know that actually works for me. And I'm not at a revenue point where I'm ready to now actually deviate into new stuff.
I've heard different stories. I've seen folks who use Instagram and just pow, and I've seen folks who have Facebook and just pow YouTube. You're right. I think every business is different. It depends on your business. Your business may be more, in my opinion, based around Facebook or based around Instagram or based around YouTube, and then some businesses are kind of all three. But I like the fact that you mentioned that most businesses, would you recommend that for people in the sense that they tend to sort of focus their efforts mainly just on one social media platform and just stay there?
100%. So, and I don't think it's business dependent. I think that, I could, if I move to YouTube, I could get the same results on YouTube. If I move to Twitter, I could get the results on Twitter. If I move, so I don't think it's really dependent on the business as far as what social media that you pick. I think it's just dependent on you and being consistent on a specific platform. So like, okay, hey, for example, a lot of people, they'll post shit on Facebook, they'll post shit on Instagram. But now if you go on Facebook, if you go on Instagram and you look at the people that commented on those posts, they just don't actually reply to them. Why? Because they're all over the place everywhere. Now, you tell me which one is more likely to get somebody to convert and to be your buyer, them commenting on your stuff and you actually engaging and building a relationship on them, or just fucking ignoring them.
Yeah, right. I wanted to go back because I'm learning so much from you, as well as just getting a lot of insightful information on your services and products. But you mentioned something that I thought was very, very interesting. I wanted to touch on because I'm taking a lot of notes too. You said the software, as well as any business, should build continuity and recurring revenue. And touch a little bit about that, because you also mentioned that you should change your business spending habits. And so are those two connected, or do you think they're separate, or can you take what you're not now spending and then use that to help build that continuity or that recurring business structure? What are your suggestions?
As far as spending, when I was talking about spending, I was really talking about people on a personal level, and not so much on the business side. I was really more talking about people on a personal level, that like most people, if you go right now and you grab like your bank statement and you look at every single transaction on your bank statement, and you were to classify it into, was this a liability that I purchased, or was this an asset that I purchased? Meaning, were these chips that I ate and are never going to make me money, or were these chips that I'm going to sell and they're actually going to make me money? Almost everybody, almost 100% of their transactions would fall into liabilities, and you got to actually stop doing that. From a business perspective, here's the thing, from any perspective, if you want to control your spending, this is very this is very limited. Okay. This is super, super limited. It's limited to less than your revenue. All right. So for example, if you make $5,000 a month, the maximum impact that you could have if you want to control your spending is $5,000 a month. That's the max. All right. You can't control more than $5,000 a month spending because you don't have more than $5,000 a month in revenue. So there's nothing that you could cut back. On the other hand, how much additional can you make? All right. That's unlimited. There's an unlimited potential. You could go from making 5K to 10K to 20K to 30K. So I think it's more valuable for businesses, instead of trying to focus on, well, how could we cut cost? How could we cut spending, to focus on, well, how can I make more fucking money? Mm-hmm. Now, with the continuity is a whole different dog. All right. Mm-hmm. See, most businesses, and this is kind of where I was talking about earlier, is like, okay, hey, you're selling your time for money and you're going to end up working until you die. You're going to run out of time. You're literally, so one thing I like to ask people is, let's say you have 7 days to live. All right. You got 168 hours left to live. That's it. How many of those hours can I buy from you right now?
Wow. That's a very good question. Wow.
None, right?
I would say none. Yes, that would be my first thing.
Because you won't tell me none. Why not? Right now, you don't know when you're going to fucking die, but you'll sell me your time. Now, as soon as I let you know, hey,
that is powerful, John. That is very powerful. So,
okay, so
I will come back to that. But go ahead.
Now, even if you're not doing that, even let's say you're selling a hamburger, which is essentially trading your time for money. All right, in a business or in life in general, you have a fixed cost and some variable costs, and whenever you add them together, you have your total overhead. Now, you have to figure out, how do I come up with that money every single month? All right. So put it like this. Let's say that you have to dig holes. Okay. And every day you have to dig 10 holes.
Okay.
Every extra hole that you dig, you get bonus points from God. God comes down and he hands you, bonus points. Here's your bonus because you dug more than 10 holes. All right. So you have one or two options. One option is every day you have to go out and start with no holes, and you dig 10 holes, and maybe you can dig 11, maybe you can dig 12. You have to dig 10. All right. And that's how most people's businesses work. Now, on the other hand, what if every day whenever you started your day, you already had 10 holes dug? You already had 11 holes dug. They just dug themselves automatically. That's continuity. All right. So when you look, what's the biggest struggle in business? Why do most of them fail? Is cash flow. I mean, you have businesses that are constantly failing, not because they can't sell their shit, but because they have cash flow issues, because they have bills today that are due today, but they don't have the cash flow to actually pay them today. Maybe the cash isn't coming in for 2 weeks. Now, continuity solves this. Continuity is like, okay, hey, like I know right now, my birthday's coming up and I'm about to spend the entire month. In Indonesia doing some scuba diving and underwater meditation. All right. Okay. But I know that entire month, if I don't make a single sale in my business, not one new sale, no one buys anything from me that entire month, I'll still cover all the costs to do my business. I still know that I'll make a profit. I still know that I'll have over $100,000 worth of revenue come in from people who bought something from me 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Because when they buy something from me, they're not paying me once, they're paying me over and over and over and over again every month. Now, here's what some people will say, okay? Let's say for one of my software, let's say I charge $100 a month for it, all right? Or I could sell it for $5,000 one-time payment. Now, most people would rather have the 5K, and they're like, okay, hey, I would rather have the 5K because that guy has to pay me for 50 months. That's more than 4 years for me to get the 5K. Okay, well, guess what? If you get 5K today, what are you going to do with it?
Well, of course, at some point it's going to be gone.
You're going to spend it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you get that 5K today, you're going to spend it. It's gone. What about next month? And this is everybody. This is virtually everybody. If you get 20K worth of new business in your business today, what are you fucking doing tomorrow? Upgrade my computer, go upgrade my car. I'm going to go on vacation with my wife. You're literally, and most people, even without the new business, they're already doing this. See, most people, even without any new business, they're already in their head spending money that they don't have yet. In their head, they're already thinking, hey, if I can make another 10K sale, I could go buy this. I could go buy this. So human psychology is just, unless you're a super disciplined person, which most people aren't, any extra money you get, you're going to spend it. So if you get an extra 10K this month, it's gone by next month. You can't rely on it in your business anymore. But a continuity offer, recurring revenue, it helps you solve that. That's why I would rather get your $100 a month than your 5K, because I know if you give me that 5K, I'm the same way. I'm going to go buy crypto with it. Probably I'm going to buy crypto and it's going to lose 70% of its value by next month. But on your monthly, even though it's $100, hey, I know I've got that $100 next month, that $100 coming in next. So every month, when I start the beginning of the month, I already know, okay, hey, I've got $100,000 that's going to come in this month if I don't sell anything.
Wow, John, that's very interesting that you say that, because yes, having a business system is what you're naturally referring to, being able to bring in that residual income. You know, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who are going to be watching my show, who are small businesses. They may be starting off selling stuff like t-shirts, water bottles, who knows. But what could you share with them? Because I want to come back, because you said something very interesting too on this underwater meditation piece. But you said something very interesting, that having that $100 versus $5,000, having that $100 a month come in versus that $5,000 actually disciplines you, or gives you more of a mental space to be able to say, hey, look, I know this is going to come in on a monthly basis, so I don't necessarily have to spend that whole $5,000 right away. How important is it for a small business owner who has to constantly sell one product at a time to sort of change that system or change that business model into something that is going to be a recurring revenue model, like you're referring to, it like a continuity based model? Well, how important is that for business owners?
Oh, it's very, having predictable cash flow in your business is probably the most important thing. It's probably the most important thing in your business. If not, you don't fucking know. Okay. If not, you don't know what, I mean, right now, look what's happened in the US over the last 6 months. We've had some of the largest banks in history just fucking gone. They're completely out of business. Okay. You've got so much of I mean, how much value has the stock market lost in the last 6 months? What are the consumers feeling? You know, when you see some of the major banks in the US, they just fucking overnight, like literally overnight, they're bankrupt and their doors are closed. How does that affect the consumer's buying behavior? How confident are they that, okay, hey, I should go spend more money? Okay. So you don't know if you're basing, like I said, my easiest explanation was the holes. If I knew every day, if I know I have to deliver 10 holes every single day, and I have the option of either I wake up and I go outside and I dig 10 holes, or when I wake up, there's already 10 holes dug for me, which one is going to make me feel more at ease? Well,
that is true.
In one version, every day I'm stressed out, like, man, I got to dig these 10. What happens if I get sick? Think about it. Like, for most people, most businesses are entrepreneurs. They're small businesses. They're solopreneurs. It's fucking mom and pop and maybe son, or it's I'm doing it all by my own. You're not fucking Superman. What happens when you get sick for a week? What happens, you know, God forbid, not that I believe in God or he would actually forbid it, even if I did, but somebody you love is going to die. Your mom's going to die. Somebody you know is going to die. Now, think about this situation. How will you feel if, let's say, your mom dies and you can't go spend a week with your dad to be there in his grieving period? Because if you spend a week outside your business, you're going to go fucking bankrupt.
Wow,
It's
John.
stupid,
That's a
right?
very good question.
And even, okay, even leaving that sadness aside, because that's on the sad side. What if your wife is like, hey, let's go do this, let's go spend 3 days, and let's go spend 3 days in the Bahamas and try every sexual position we've never had before. How will you feel if you have to say no? Because if you take 3 days off of your business, no new sales are going to come in. And if no new sales come in, you can't pay your bills. It's just not smart. It's not great. And I think this is why people are so they get so stressed out about their business, because they have no idea where the money is going to come in. Whereas in my business, I already know, okay, hey, my cost to run my business is $70K. I've got $100,000 that's going to come in regardless of whether I show up or not.
Mhm. Wow, that is absolutely, like I said, I'm learning so much from you, John. I want to go a little
It's
further
also
back.
easier to sell those people. It's a lot easier if you come in and you buy something from me and you make a one-time payment. Okay, granted, it is easier to sell you something than someone who hasn't bought from me. Okay, but who is it even easier to sell? The person that didn't come in and buy something on a one-time payment, the person that came in and has already agreed, I'm going to pay John every month. That person is so much more easier to sell and get new money from than the previous person.
Wow, that is very interesting. You brought up a good point. You said you were going to Indonesia in a little bit, and you were going to do underwater meditation. Now, first, let me ask two-part questions. So, what is underwater meditation? I've never heard of that before. And how important is meditation to be able to? And you also mentioned being able to build a business system that wouldn't stress you out. But how important is meditation? After you let me know what underwater meditation is, and how important is meditation as it relates to de-stressing, understanding where you are in your business, and just been able to clear your mind to even focus on things like what you're referring to, John. So, what is underwater meditation? What is that?
So underwater meditation is basically the same as normal meditation, which you can think normal meditation. If you're religious and you pray to whatever God that you worship, that's meditation. Okay. So that act of prayer, that act of trying to reach a higher power or talk to a higher power and then listen. And I guess it depends on what religious belief that you subscribe to, and if you actually follow through. Because if you actually follow through on your religious beliefs, then you understand that, okay, when you pray, you do speak to God, but more importantly, you're trying to get God to speak to you. You're trying to listen to God. All right. So underwater meditation is the same thing as now. If you don't subscribe to any type of religion and you don't pray, then meditation is just basically, kind of whatever you want it to be, but it's self-reflection time. It's time where you're just either trying to clear your mind completely, you're just trying to get everything off of your mind, or you're trying to focus in and dial on one thing and just completely focus on one thing. It's basically altering your mental state and going with an intent. So underwater meditation is basically the same as normal meditation. You just do it underwater instead of on ground. So you just do it underwater.
Because I don't know if I can hold my breath that long, John. I mean, maybe a minute.
So you're not holding your breath.
You have the tube.
Yeah. So I'm a licensed scuba diver.
Okay.
So you're typically doing it when you're scuba diving. So
I see.
You're not actually holding your breath, because a big part, although I guess you could try to do it, but a big part of meditation is in the beginning is focusing on your breath and controlling your breathing and being very aware of how you're actually breathing. And obviously, if you don't have scuba gear on and you have to hold your breath, you're not going to be able to control your breathing at all.
Sure. I was just curious, but two things before we close out, John. I know you also mentioned crypto. Are you an avid crypto investor?
Yeah, for sure. So I love crypto. We actually have I have my own cryptocurrencies that we've created and launched.
Really? Now, I didn't see that on the site. That must be, is this new?
No, we launched it over a year ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, I must have missed that part. Maybe I'm just because I'm on a dashboard now. So Tell me a little bit about that, John. You created a coin.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So
So
you
not just a coin, but a whole ecosystem for our partnership and for our business model. So in our partnership, in our business model, we're the first ever community owned and operated software company.
okay.
So we're transitioning to, if you think community owned and operated is like a co-op, all
Mhm.
right? So the blockchain is a perfect environment for this because we can have what's called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where the people who are invested into our software company and have a vested interest in our software company can essentially vote in our ecosystem, and their vote in our ecosystem as far as what they want us to do can be weighted based on the amount of revenue that they've actually vested into the company itself.
I see. And does the crypto that's within your organization, can someone purchase it on the public market like a Coinbase or?
For sure, not on Coinbase, but on a decentralized exchange, not on a centralized exchange. So you can
Okay.
purchase it on a decentralized exchange like Trader Joe's.
Okay. Okay. Now as far as your software's, I'm sorry, your community in a sense. Now these are investors I know that you mentioned. So for folks, are you now offering, so are you moving towards that artificial intelligence space, or are you still just going to kind of stay on the software level? Because I think artificial intelligence is more like machine learning, if I'm correct. And tell me a little bit, do you plan on taking your company to that level of artificial intelligence? And if not, which direction do you see your company going in the future?
Um, in the future, for sure. At this time, so we've integrated AI in some of our software products, but as far as I don't remember who said it, but some famous rich person said, if you want to know who the pioneers are, look for the people with the arrows in their backs.
Wow. Okay.
So not super interested in pioneering stuff and being in stuff and at this stage in our business, because we're not a behemoth whenever it comes to revenue yet. So for example, I can't really afford to go all in on AI and then in 6 months have the regulations on AI come and make everything that we did now completely invaluable or non-monetizable because they've regulated it to death. So let them regulate it, let the pioneers get all the arrows in their backs, and once we figure out where all the Indians are at shooting everybody and we can stay away from them, then we might venture into it. But as far as right now, we've integrated it into some of our software products, but in active development, we're not like actively trying to create our own AI or anything like that.
Oh, that's awesome, John. That is awesome. Well, again, John, I really appreciate you meeting with me and interviewing with me. I'm really going to jump really deep into my membership on your site, and then I'm gonna also do some promoting myself because I see you have an affiliate section. So, I mean, I'm looking at amazing. I mean, I even wanted to ask you about the digital riches training that you do. I mean, you have so many different courses on here. A lot of them are free. I mean, for example, you have building a sales funnel. That's something that I wanted to get into as well too. Launching membership sites, SEO secrets. I mean, you have so much. John has so many different areas of online learning that you can kind of take. So definitely jump in and get his membership. So tell really quickly, let's close out. Is there something specific you want the audience to know about what you do, or in general, just something that they need to be aware of as it relates to sort of moving forward with their business?
Well, what I do is basically help people sell more of their products and services online and save time why they do it. So although people don't have to buy my stuff, and I'm not really concerned because I'm not motivated if people buy anything from me or not, the main thing that I would want entrepreneurs and businesses to really do is really dial in and focus on their mindset. I think that would be, if I could give them the best piece of advice, is that will solve almost all of their problems. Like, there's this concept in There's this concept, like I said, I'm not religious, I am spiritual, and I really like the Taoist teachings and the Buddhist teachings. But there's this concept in Buddhism that if you were to go to your Buddha or to your monk and you were to say, hey, I don't like my bed. My bed's not comfortable. It's just my bed's not really comfortable. You know what he would do? He would bring you a bed of nails and have you sleep on a bed of nails.
What, John?
Now why is that?
Are you serious, brother?
Yeah, he'll bring you a bed of nails and have
So
you.
I've only seen this in movies. What's the purpose of that though? Just to discipline?
The purpose of that is there's a concept there's a concept I like to call called eat shit. All right. If you ever hear someone takes a bite of food or something and be like, wow, that tastes like shit, I can guarantee you that that person has never ate shit before.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you find yourself eating and you think, okay, hey, this food isn't good, like go eat some white rice. And if you eat that white rice and you're just like, man, this is bland, there's no taste, this isn't good, this is horrible, I hate it. Go outside, find a piece of dog shit, put it in your mouth and fucking chew it up. And after you do that, then you go back to that white rice and you taste that white rice and you see if it's not fucking amazing and if it's not delicious. So a lot of people, they live their life where they want to. And this is the whole concept of why the Buddhist monk is doing this, because if you don't think sleeping on the floor, which is what they do, they sleep on the floor. If you don't think that's comfortable, well, sleep on this fucking bed of nails for 3 nights. And after you sleep on that bed of nails for 3 nights and you go back to that floor is comfortable. That floor is great. That floor is a blessing. So I think one of the biggest things people can do is
that sounds like gratitude too, John. That sounds like
yes, move towards pain. So many people are like, they're trying to avoid all this pain and avoid all this pain and avoid all this pain. Well, if you move towards it, guess what happens? Less and less things become painful. What was painful to you yesterday is now pleasant to you. It doesn't bother you. So, and this is all mindset.
Wow. Well, John, again, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. I have learned so much. I took a ton of notes, but man, I mean, again, for your audience as well as for my audience, man, anything else you want to share? I mean, I'm just ecstatic, excited to kind of jump out here and start really helping you push your own services, brother. I think this is amazing, man. I'm gonna really even jump into it myself. I think this is going to help my business as well too, especially on the sales funnel side, because that's something I really wanted to get into and some things that I did not know that you really taught me just in this conversation, man. I appreciate you. So,
my pleasure.
Anything else you want to say to close out? I appreciate it again, man.
No, I'm good. I have to pee really bad.
Okay. All right, John. All right, brother. We'll talk soon, guy.
All right, man. My pleasure. Have a good one.
You too. All right.